All right, good morning, everyone. We are glad to welcome you to our Employability Webinar for the month of February. This morning, we are looking at the topic, Radio Revolution, Unleashing the Potential of Nigerian Youth in Broadcasting. And with us this morning is Miss Mary Bashua-Alimi. Mary Bashua-Alimi began her broadcasting career during her NYSC days in 2010 as the host of the reality show Arise Nigeria on TVC. She went on to reporting and presenting shows and events, as well as acting as the MC compere of the annual CBS Christmas Family Fun Fair. In 2011, she cut her teeth as a radio presenter on Talk Nigeria, and then Boss of Goodies, going on to produce the present Youth Connect as well as Who's Getting Married on all on Radio Continental 102.3 FM. That same year, she became an announcer and the OAP on duty, working on several shifts from Monday to Sunday. Mary Bashua-Alimi has produced and presented many shows and documentaries, including the Continental Breakfast Show, Waiting Day, Talk Nigeria, and Mellow World, Max Eats, and The Mary Alimi Show, a magazine show on 102.3 Max FM, which airs every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon, and every Sunday evening from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. A very original and unique style concept of the Solace course is a major part of her show and is the basis of her being known as the Solace Sister. She is also a co-presenter on Wake Up Nigeria, a weekday television show on TVC, 6 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. Please join me as we welcome Lady O. Mary, who was named one of the 50 women influencing journalism in Nigeria. Please, let's unmute and give her a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining. I feel really honored to be here. It's a pleasure, as a matter of fact. Okay, so I'm giving a presentation on Radio Revolution, Unleashing the Potential of Nigerian Youth in Broadcasting. Now, we're going to be talking about so many things. I already have the subtopics there, so you can take a look at them. We're talking about broadcasting as we know it, careers in broadcasting, which of course is the mainstay since we're trying to look at the youth interest in broadcasting. We're talking about future in broadcasting, how to engage listeners, the dilemma of radio ratings, is broadcasting financially rewarding? And then, of course, we'll have our question and answer session, summary, and conclusion, of course. So I'm not going to define or describe broadcasting to you. A quick Google search can sort that out. Instead, I'm just going to dive straight into the conversation about radio broadcasting in general and your possible interest in this career path, which may explain why you're here, physically or virtually. So the preface, let me say this about radio. Radio is magical. My goodness, I cannot tell you just how much I love radio. When I talk about radio, I feel very passionate because this is something I totally enjoy doing. My first stint in radio, as was mentioned earlier, was in 2010, and I fell in love. I just fell in love with its simplicity. I love the anonymity and the versatility so much so that I've been hooked ever since. No doubt about that, because I'm still hooked. Well, the anonymity at that time, I'll say at that time, because we know, of course, that these days radio presenters are almost as well known physically as TV presenters. I actually began in TV, then switched to radio almost immediately because I've just always cherished my privacy. I'm the type of person that just wants to walk in and walk out without anyone knowing anything about me. Now, before then, and since that time till now, radio has evolved in so many ways, yet managed to maintain its relevance as it captures the ears, minds, and hearts of its listeners. Now, for an average individual, the radio is the cheapest most relatable and most popular form of entertainment, which totally describes the radio revolution, really, because when you talk about radio revolution, you're talking about the fact that more people are able to key into radio as a form of entertainment. It's not intimidating. Well, quite not like the TV you can appear to be. It's quite like a friend, one that grows and journeys you through life. The revolution of radio in Nigeria has had a major impact on the people and the polity. Now, most worthy of note being during the 90s, particularly following the June 12 saga, which we all know about. And even before then, Radio Biafra, aka Voice of Biafra, which was founded in the late 1960s and is currently operated by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, radio means many things to different people. I'm sure you agree with this. Let's have a quick interactive session, just 3 to 5 minutes. The question is, tell me what radio means to you. In 3 to 5 words, just very brief. What does radio mean to you? Tell me. So I'd like to see who would like to give me their feedback on that, especially if you're a lover of radio. I know so many people like be it TV or internet stuff, but I know so many people also love the radio. So if you love the radio, I'd like to hear from you. 3 to 5 minutes, just a quick conversation. What does radio mean to you? So let's have your feedback.
You can raise your virtual hand or you can type in the chat.
Yeah, either way works, yes. What does radio mean to you? So let's have your feedback on that one. Because radio means different things to different people. And I'm pretty sure that the reason you're here is probably because there's something the radio has done to capture your hearts that has made you so hooked to it that you're like, okay, maybe a career in radio might not be bad. So let's have it. What does radio mean to you? Just raise your hand. I'd like to hear from you. This is quite like being on a radio show and then you call out the number. Yeah. So sending your messages is like texting. And then when you raise your hand and you give me your feedback, that's like answering your phone call. So yeah, that's how it is. You know, on radio, you have to be patient. So people will get through to you, you answer the phone calls or you read their messages. So this is quite like radio, see? So I'm just waiting for your feedback. I wish there was a phone number I could call out. Okay, so I believe there are some of your So I kind of take your feedback now. I'm just going to make sure that I take it before this conversation ends. But I really thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate it. But let's talk about broadcasting as we know it. As in folks who working and listening to radio from when radio broadcasting was introduced to Nigeria in the early 1930s. That's almost 100 years ago, as a matter of fact. Not that I was one of the pianists, I'm not a fan. Anyway, radio broadcasting was introduced in Nigeria in 1932-33 thereabout by the presentation of the first radio distribution system, that's the RDS. Broadcasting is a serious profession. Forget all the play and the way it makes it seem very easy and simple when you're listening. It's a very, very serious profession. And it's one that prioritizes educating and informing listeners about everything else.
always in an entertaining way, because we know, of course, most people can impact knowledge better when it's entertaining. I'll admit that there are some on-air personalities who focus more about relevance, to contest who broke the news first, and other such mundane affairs. Not that it's a terrible thing. I always tell people it's not terrible to chase clouds, particularly if there is no misinformation involved. Some do it to pay their bills. So I look at it as, okay, it's when it becomes malicious that I regard it as a problem. So as long as it's not malicious, I guess it's fair. Now, radio broadcasting entertains in a way that the knowledge gained easily sticks, and you have facts without necessarily seeking them. Facts which could come in handy at school or at work or at a job interview. Yeah, diction is important. When it comes to radio, diction is very important. These days, it's waived a lot often. It shouldn't be, but diction is actually important. Clarity is key. I know one thing I love about radio. Sarcasm. Sarcasm is pure. If you're not a big thinker, you definitely get worse. But the truth is, in radio, sarcasm is key. It's part of our language. Yeah. So sometimes the double entendre is there, and you're like, okay, what exactly is this person talking about? But you're able to catch on, then you already know how the radio flow works. Okay. That's the beauty of radio, I tell you. And yes, the golden gift of God as well. Yeah. So if you're someone who knows how to use your words, you know how to practice, you know how to maximize conversations, you will definitely thrive in radio. Now, radio broadcasting entertains in a way that the knowledge gained easily sticks. And you have facts without necessarily seeking them. Facts which will come in handy at school or at work or at a job interview. So that's something I really cherish about it. Now, radio goes beyond sounding cool. I should warn you. It's more about being unforgettable. For me, that's the priority. Be unforgettable. And I did say the same applies to TV. See? Okay, at this point, let's talk about careers in broadcasting. I know that is very important right now. When folks say broadcasting, when they hear it's broadcasting, they immediately think of presentation, production, newscasting, and many folks assume that's all there is. No, there isn't. You need to take a note of the fact that broadcast media is a large industry. It's one with creative, managerial, and technical positions. If you're passionate about the media industry, there are so many career opportunities which you can explore, all of which play an important role in the broadcast industry. So the main focus is to seamlessly share information with the public. That's what broadcasting is all about. So a career in broadcasting truly interests you, if you enjoy creating, performing, and watching or listening to television and radio programs. Now, I mentioned some, and you can do further research on more, okay? You just might find something that suits your style better. Now, let's begin with television. So I ought to mention that some radio and television roles are intertwined. I'll point those out in the straight part. There's the role of a video editor, okay? A video editor assembles and edits raw video files in preparation for broadcast. They also add video transitions or color correct footage to ensure a clean and aesthetically pleasing final product. And we perform sound editing, yes, such as adjusting volume, reducing background noise, or adding special sound effects. Video editors will collaborate with directors to make edits on the film. So if you're a type who loves videos, video editing in particular, this just might be your preferred career in broadcast. So some folks are thinking, okay, I love editing videos, where do I fit? This is how you fit it, by being a video editor. So don't just edit those videos you put on social media. You could actually make a career out of it if you're really good at it. Another role is that of a studio manager. Now, a studio manager works closely with clients and manages projects in creative studios. You might be interested in becoming a camera operator, who films video for broadcast and writes, follow and rehearse scripts. So camera operators are essential. They collaborate with the directors and the talent to determine how to shoot scenes. They play an important role in successful production as well. Now, you may want to consider the role of the program director. That's another option. Though this position requires a level of experience and expertise, A program director researches, plans, and implements new strategies for the organization, creating programming plans for what airs on television, plus managing timelines and progression of projects and stories. There's the role of a news producer, one you might be interested in. A news producer collaborates with the news director to select broadcast content, design shows, that is to include reports, graphics, and video content. They also set filming schedules and tell the production crew and special guests when to arrive and how much time they will spend at the reporter. Yes, news reporting. You're probably wondering, there's newscasting, there's news report. I didn't know there were so many branches to news. Believe me, there are so many things you can do with news. And write or edit news stories. And in some cases, news reporters may also appear on camera to present their news stories. Another option for you, if you're thinking of what to do in broadcasting, is the role of a production assistant. Now, a production assistant involves working in studios and on sets, assisting producers, directors, and other film crew members. They help adjust lighting and set up equipment for filming. Production assistants may also attend to guests and on-air personalities. For some projects, this may include handling duties such as scheduling guest interviews, answering phone calls, plus coordinating transportation and catering services when needed. It makes you feel like a production assistant is the errand boy for the studio set. Might seem like that, but actually production assistants are essential. They're the ones who put everything together. They're like the glue that makes everything work seamlessly. Now, a popular media role, of course, is that of a graphic artist. In fact, it's been in existence for ages. Graphic artists create artwork and images for media use. They make subtitles, they make headlines for news programming, plus they use their knowledge of editing and design software to create visuals for advertisements. In the social media age, they're even in higher demand by all arms of media. So their expertise isn't just limited to radio and TV as used to be the case. So if you're a graphic artist, not only will you work on TV or radio, of course, there's so many places, so many areas you can work in. You can even work with entrepreneurs, if you know what I mean. So, you know, design their arts and all. So many opportunities for you. Now, you could also consider another role that cuts across all media arms, talking about that of a copywriter. You see that on social media, you see it on the internet every time, copywriter. Basically, a copywriter is someone who writes and edits content for news scripts and other media. And it's a versatile job as well. It's one that is in high demand. Now, in radio, an important radio role is that of a radio technician. And a radio technician is someone who primarily maintains equipment at the radio station. Okay, so they may install new transmitters and receiving devices plus repair equipment as needed. So that's the function of a radio technician. Okay, now another important role is that of a sound engineer. Now you're probably trying to put it together, radio technician, sound engineer. I thought everybody does the same job. No, as a matter of fact, there are so many opportunities in media. If you don't get to be the presenter or the newscaster, don't feel discouraged. You can still be in the media space, doing something else that you might end up falling in love with. I've had conversations with several young people who came into the media space looking at becoming certain things. And when it doesn't work out, there are other opportunities. PR, for example, public relations is a big part of media right now. If you cannot get into where you want to be, why not explore that as an option? Okay, it's not just production, newscasting, presentation. There are actually so many opportunities in media. Opportunities you should consider, really. Okay, now, so as I mentioned, the sound engineer operates sound equipment, can enhance audio, add sound effects, and record audio for live shows and performances. So many things they do. There's also the broadcast engineers. Broadcast engineers are different from sound engineers because broadcast engineers operate transmitters for television and radio programming. So an engineer may install and maintain new equipment in a studio. They ensure that special effects, graphics, commercials, and live video air correctly. As you can tell, they're needed in both radio and television. So if you're a broadcast engineer, hot cake, that's what you are.
The most popular role, of course, is that of a broadcaster. In fact, most people in media, when you ask them, what do you do? I'm a broadcaster. However, the real definition of the role of a broadcaster is a radio or TV personality who delivers the news on screen. They may serve as news anchors or sports broadcasters. They may also often perform duties such as writing and directing the news, or perform voiceovers for commercials and news segments. So many things a broadcaster does, but it has to do more with being the personality. So when someone calls themselves a broadcaster, you already have an idea of what they are. Now, let's not forget, every business needs to make profit. And of course, that's where our sales of products and or services, as the case may be. Broadcasting is not an exception. Keep that in mind. And a sales marketing manager is required to design strategies and campaigns for businesses to increase their visibility and help build clientele. So if you're someone who loves sales, why don't you take advantage of it in the media space? See? So if you love sales, there's room for you in media as well. In the broadcast industry, there is need for a salesperson because profit is needed to be made, okay? Now, DJs. All right, so I've come to realize that most people misunderstand that term DJ. They think DJ is somebody who just carries, equipment to play music at parties. That's not all there is to a DJ. In fact, disc jockeys, as they're called, are radio personalities who perform various tasks to run a radio show. We're talking about managing the set list, settling music, putting commercials together to air according to schedule, and introducing acts or news segments. DJs may also interview music guests and other personalities that the station invites to the show. Basically, what we refer to as a radio presenter today used to be a disc jockey's responsibility. Still is in some stations, though many believe that a DJ simply mixes and plays music. That's not actually the job of the DJ alone. The DJ is actually what we now call the radio presenter, because now many stations have schedulers. Yes, you heard me talking about scheduling commercials. So that's another job you can do. See, become a scheduler. In fact, things that 1 2 people used to do before have been broken into smaller units. So there are so many opportunities that you can explore if you're interested in the broadcast industry, okay? Let's not go into all of that now, okay? Now, what you should remember is that broadcasting involves mediums such as television and radio. A broadcasting career could involve creating broadcasts such as news programs, sportscasts, or radio shows. Basically, good communication and presentation skills are important for all types of careers in the broadcasting industry, because you never can tell when you might be needed to step in for something, or you cannot produce or handle something you have no basic knowledge of. So it's very important to at least have good communication skills. Work on both and you have an edge. I can assure you of that. You will definitely have an edge. Okay, so we've talked about careers in broadcasting, which for me was the major topic for today. So at this point, many young people they're thinking, is broadcasting really a big deal still? Do people still watch TV? Do people still listen to the radio? I can tell you for a fact that people do, especially the radio. So let's talk about the future in broadcasting, okay? Now, we cannot talk about the future without referring to the past, which we have done already, and the present, which is our current reality. So the broadcasting revolution continues, of course, what's with the transformation of traditional television and radio channels to digital platforms with a huge variety of content choices to consumers. Broadcasting is actually more competitive thanks to advancements in technology and, of course, flexible consumer preferences. Yeah. Now, streaming services, they're a major competition. Yeah, I'm aware of that, and I'm not going to brush it off. They're a major competition because streaming services have revolutionized, shall I say they revolutionized the consumption of content with platforms like Amazon Prime Video. We've got Disney Plus, we've got Netflix. They've all disrupted traditional broadcasting models. They offer on-demand original content with a wider range of convenient, cost-effective subscription options, which of course are tailored to individual preferences with personalized viewing experience. So they make it a whole lot easier and more seamless. Live streaming continues to rise in popularity. Of course, consumers can enjoy real-time experiences of events, sports matches, concerts on their devices, aided by the rise of augmented reality, which is what you know as AR, and of course, virtual reality, that's VR. The metaverse, for example, you're aware of the metaverse, right? Because that's like what everyone talks about now. It's actually a major deal right now, okay? So if you don't know about the metaverse, you're going to do a lot of research on it later. You don't want to be left out on that. But let me just let you know that the metaverse, for example, could be the future of entertainment. So if you're going into broadcasting, the entertainment space, you want to take more interest in that, because the metaverse, it's almost like magic, really. It's something that, it's a concept which has gained traction in recent years. See, it integrates virtual and physical realities, envisioning a shared space, okay, where users can communicate, explore, and engage with a wide range of digital experiences. It's something you should experience at least once, even if you have no major interest in it, so you can have a better understanding of how it works. Now, the partnership between broadcasting and social media is something we must mention. And it's something that will continue to grow as social media platforms have become integral to our daily lives. A good number of broadcasters utilize their social media channels to engage with their audience, share behind-the-scenes content, and drive conversations around their programs. Now, if you're a broadcaster and you're wondering which works for which, or if you're an aspiring broadcaster, let me just give you an insight into how to maximize it. Now, Facebook is mainly employed for live streaming, polls, and contests. That's where you can make the most of Facebook. Now, for Instagram, live streaming, stories. Sometimes people cannot go to your page, but when they see you post something, they say, okay, what did you post on that story, or his story, as the case may be? Start using your stories, okay? Interactive stickers, and of course, polls now. Yes, they're actually Instagram polls now. If you haven't noticed, go on your Instagram and try to make a post. You would see polls there. So you can run polls just as you do on Facebook. Though this one is a bit different. You see responses of votes and stuff, but don't worry, it's all the same. Okay, once you master it, you can maximize it, especially if you're an Instagram person, not a Facebook person or a Twitter person. Now, for Twitter, there's the live real-time conversations. On Twitter, you can make a post and people are just giving their responses, and it's easier for you, especially if you're on air, you want to get fast responses. Twitter can be very useful for that. Then, of course, the hashtags, which help you to track conversations. Then, of course, you can run Q&A sessions and even live streaming. So many things you can do with it. Now, at this point, we'll be rounding up our conversation. But if you're a broadcaster, you're probably wondering, how do you engage and maintain and retain, in fact, your audience? That's a major one, right? It's a question that the answer changes from time to time. I'm going to be very honest with you that the way we used to maintain or retain listeners or viewers as at 2010 is definitely different from how we were doing it in 2015. And it's a whole lot different from how we do it today. Okay, so it's something you have to stay on top of your game for. There are some basics which could be quite helpful. Say, for example, it's important to pay attention to your audience. Listen to your audience. When you listen to your audience, you have conversations with them, it will help you a great deal, because radio has gone beyond being a sort of my base. That's a Yoruba for who talks without getting a response. Radio has gone beyond that. Radio and TV are no longer passive media. Take notes, they are not. In fact, radio is now quite interactive and has even gone visual. In some broadcast stations, okay, I work at Max FM. We have this live studio we are operating. We began it just a month ago, and so we are live 24/7. You can see whatever is happening in the studio real time, not just listening, but viewing as well. That is what radio has become. So when people listen to you on the radio or watch you on TV, they form their opinion on what you're talking about. Don't just talk, interact with them, get their feedback. Okay, it's very important to do so. Now, as you may know, I work in both radio and television as a presenter producer. On radio, there's a segment I've had since 2013, 2014. Oh, goodness, that's 10 years already. Anyway, it's called Mariality Solis Calls. I believe Josephine mentioned this earlier at the start of this conversation. I reach out to folks and their loved ones, celebrate them, comforting the bereaved, sometimes just giving a listening ear. Now, to those who make the request, it's quite personal and means a lot to them. And that's what encourages them to listen. That wasn't the idea to make people listen. No, it was just a way to reach out. But guess what? Just as they say in business and in general life, when you offer a solution, you will get something in return. I was only trying to provide solace. But guess what? It's also giving me listenership. As a matter of fact, my ratings on the Sunday show, for example, never goes below 50. Yeah, so I'm always in top 5 in Lagos. So there are things you do when you help people, when you try to make people's lives better, you will definitely get something in return, and it endears them to you, especially when they know you're doing it honestly, because people can always tell when you're doing stuff for clouds. And then sometimes let the audience be celebrities, give them their 15 seconds of fame. It means a lot to them. I hear a lot of presenters on radio saying, hello, your time is up, please. They are not doing you are not doing them a favor. They are actually the ones doing you a favor, giving you the ratings you need. So it's a bit pompous to do that. If you are one of those who always believe that, I think it's about time to embrace that. Be respectful to your listeners. Be very respectful to them. You don't know what you mean to them, and you don't know what your response might do to their day, because they listen to you to help them feel better. So if you're not contributing positively, then don't even make it worse by saying something negative to them. It can be tempting. Some listeners can frustrate you, but that's why you're there. That's why you're the professional. So you need to know how to manage it better, okay? All right, so there's so many options I could give you, but I can see time is not on our side now. So I'm just going to have to round up as much as I can. I have loads of info I wanted to share with you, but because of time and so I can be able to answer your questions, I'm going to have to put that aside for now. Okay, so one thing I'll just tell you is this. There are ways you can actually work on your ratings, okay? Ratings are very, very tricky. I'm not going to lie. Ratings are very tricky. They frustrate broadcasters. Like, you feel like you're doing your best, and then the ratings come, and you feel like, okay, does it mean that I'm not doing well enough? Yes, you can feel that way because of, what the ratings do to your mental health. People don't know that the ratings affect the mental health of broadcasters. But that's the truth. And that's what brings us to the dilemma of radio ratings. The goal of increased audience, of course, is to improve program and station ratings. But that isn't always the result. If you're in media, you already know about the almighty ratings. Am I right? You already know about the ratings. And you know the shape programming, even sometimes deciding who gets employed, who gets fired, who gets rewarded. That's why I refer to it as, the dilemma of ratings, because it is a dilemma, really. So when you're measuring the popularity and success of radio and TV shows, they actually help provide valuable insights into viewership patterns, preferences, and so many people need this. The advertisers need it. Not only the advertisers, even the viewers need it, because sometimes viewers want to say, okay, which shows are doing well, or as the case may be, listeners are, so because we have listeners for radio, we have viewers for TV, okay? So these things are needed. Now, radio, when it comes to radio or TV, ratings are usually percentages, okay? So these percentages measure the portion of a given group. Now, let me tell you how radio ratings work, for those of you who do not know. When you have a section of people, a given group of people, be it out, maybe households, adults, 18 to 49, or women 25 to 24, listening to or watching a given show at a particular time. What the ratings does is, ratings does not carry or count all the people listening at that time. It's not a case of, oh, you have 10 million listeners. No. Ratings usually focuses on a section of people. So what that means is that a sample of, say, 50,000 homes and about 120,000 people are all that demographically represent the entire population. So it's not the entire population that is being calculated. So those people's preferences shape the ratings. So basically, total viewers or listeners refers to the average number of people listening to or watching a program in any given minute while it airs. You might say it's unfair. Yeah, unfair to have 100,000 people representing a 100 million audience. However, that's how it's been done. It's been done like that for ages. There's the Nielsen ratings. If you've never heard about it, you might want to go check it out. And, as much as presenters complain that I'm pretty sure this is not my number, I know I have a lot of listeners. What the radio ratings gives you is what you have to take, unfortunately. And so, well, I hope it inspires you to create a more advanced and efficient system. That's talking about careers in broadcasting, which we mentioned earlier. So you see, so many options for you if you're interested in having a career in broadcasting. This is one of it. Research and ratings is what it is called. So you might want to consider a career as a researcher, handling ratings, getting all of it ready. I know somebody in my office, the person who handles that, Femi. So that's actually a career, see? So if you love mathematics, for example, this is something you can do. Who says your love for mathematics can be employed in broadcasting? See? You don't have to be an engineer. You don't. So many opportunities, okay? So yeah. The most important thing, though, is to focus on giving your best, because the station is not a non-profit organization. They, of course, want to make money. So you can't blame them when they fire or employ people you feel, oh, I do better than this person. Well, the person brings in the numbers, unfortunately, and that's the truth. Now, let's talk about something I'm certain that a good number of you are wondering about. Is broadcasting financially rewarding? I would actually like to know what you make of this. Is broadcasting financially rewarding? I'm very curious about this. We should have a quick interactive session. I know we had one earlier that we couldn't complete. So maybe we'll take a look at both right now. Again, 3 to 5 minutes. Give me figures of what you believe entry level, experienced, and the veterans earn in the industry. How much do you believe the average salary of someone who works in media is? Let's have the numbers, okay? Let's have that. Yeah, let's check that out right now. How much do you believe an average person in media earns in Nigeria? No, to not dollar salary, because I know some people earn in this. We're talking about Nigerian naira. How much do you think an entry level into the broadcasting world earns every month? Now, how much do you think an experienced person, now by experienced, I mean someone between 5 to 15 years of experience. And then how much do you think the veterans, those who have had well over 20 years experience in the industry, how much do you think they earn? I'm very curious about this. If you would like to give your feedback, just wave, and if you'd like to just text it, because we're on radio, right? Like on TV, huh? You can just send your comments, okay? Just let's see your comments. I'm very interested in this, because people have this notion that when you're on radio or TV, you're earning millions. Like, your life is set, your life is pure. I'm very curious. How much do you think an average person in media earns? There's this belief that young folks want to make money more than they want to work. I'm not a firm believer in that, because I've had conversations with several young people who are actually very hardworking, very enterprising. So yes, I know there's some people that we need to put in the work and grow through the ranks, but not so many people are, I'll admit. It's been like that all through the years. So not everybody.
Someone is chatting. Someone is chatting. No.
Getting into the
Please
industry.
check.
How much do you think it is? Let me hear it. Let's see. Do we have any responses there?
Yes. Joshua Mulero. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma. Good morning, ma.
No, I'm talking to the presenter. Hi, Mary.
Is the speaker still on? Ikeja, is the speaker still on? Please, let's be patient. The question is broadcasting financially rewarding? So please keep chatting. We can see some chats, one from TechnoSpark. Joshua Mulero said so many things here. Entry level 200K, 5 to 15 years, 400K, veterans, 700 to 1 million. Ooh. Do we have more? Can we have more?
Let me let you. And this is not just about the broadcast industry, it's generally. Nothing is guaranteed. However, there's one thing I know for sure. Like most teachers, an average honest broadcaster is what. That's just what I'm going to say about this. My name is Mary Bashua-Alimi. Thank you so much for your time. Let's get on with the question and answer session. Please, let's have your questions. I'm willing to answer.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, I
Yes.
think we lost you.
Let's have
We
your
lost
questions.
you at a
It's time
point.
for the Q&A. What would you like
Can
to
you hear
know?
us, Mary?
What's on your mind?
Hello,
Let's
Mary.
have it.
Can you hear us?
So 400,000 entry level. It's actually fair. However,
Hello, Ikeja. Can you hear us?
the experience part and the veteran part is not so bad. It's close to what many people actually do. Not quite for some folks, for some. For that, yeah, they are still spending 100,000, some even 80,000, depending on the department. So I'm not going to tell you this way is that because it might not be what you expect. So keep that at the back of your head. Some industries are also like that. You're promised a better future, so to speak, but then as a trainee, as something called, you cannot earn as much as somebody who has been in space. Yeah, you need to keep that. Okay, so let's have your questions. Yeah, this happened. And answer them. Right?
Sorry, Mary, can you hear us?
I'm trying to fix that. Okay, it's good now. Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, we lost you when you asked the question about the pay of what do you call it, the broadcasters. We lost you for like 10 minutes.
Okay.
So you can recap on that.
Before I recap on that, first, what's your name?
I'm Samuel Itayo. I work with the American Consulate, Lagos. Yes.
Yeah, did you say Samuel? Okay. So because I'm a broadcaster, I cannot let that statement slide. If you call someone, like someone calls you on the program and you say, we lost you for a moment, my boss will probably give me a suspension of 2 weeks. You know why? Because you're indirectly saying the person is dying or the person is dead. So you don't say, we lost you for a minute. And I'm saying this because you might be on a phone call to a friend and they say, I lost you for a second. No, in Jesus' name, you know this, you know the Nigerian thing, right? So you can just say the connection.
I got it.
Yes.
I got it.
We lost the connection for Yeah, so we lost the connection for a few minutes, okay? Not the person. May we not lose anybody in Jesus' name. That's me being in Nigeria. Right now.
Amen.
So we lost the connection for a few minutes. So yeah, you said you lost the connection when I was talking about the remuneration,
Yes,
right? Okay, so I'm
correct.
just going to take back what I said because I'm not sure where the connection was lost. So someone responded because I asked for responses regarding that. And someone responded with entry level being 200,000. Experienced, that's the 5 to 15 years experience being about 400,000. Let me just maybe say something to that now. Entry level is 200,000. That's you without experience. And someone that now has 5 years experience. Don't you think we should multiply that 200 by 5? Don't mind me, I'm just being. But seriously, he said, or she said, I'm not quite sure who the person is, said 400 for 5 to 15 years. And then for a veteran or say 20 years plus, that's about 700 to 1 million. So I was making reference to that fact that, okay, in some organizations, yes, you can get as much as that. Yes, you can get even more than that as an experienced presenter or broadcaster, as the case may be. However, it is not always the case. And as I mentioned, in case you missed that as well, in some cases, an entry level in Nigeria of today, you might roll your eyes, you might say that's impossible. You might be aggravated by it, you might not like it, but some entry level today earn 70,000, 80,000, 100. Okay, some fortunate ones earn 120,000, and that's the reality. And for experienced broadcasters, not all of them earn as much as 400. In fact, some earn between 2 to 250, 300. Forget all the glamour and the drama and all they put on the social media. The basic salary, that's besides the extras that you make. The basic salary itself is not as much as people think it is. It is not. So I want you to, if you're coming to the industry, that's for those who are not in it, come with a realistic expectation, okay? As I said, it does not apply to everybody. There are some people who earn a lot more. There's something I do. Okay, I don't know if future employers are listening right now, but there's something I do, yeah. Occasionally, I go for interviews. It's my boss watching this. Occasionally, I go for interviews, mainly to check my worth in the industry. So that gives me a fair idea of, okay, if I decide to leave this organization today, this is how much I'll probably earn if I decide to leave. So it's something you might want to consider doing, okay? See your worth, go for interviews. You could even be honest with them after the conversation that, oh, I'm not looking to leave yet. I just wanted to see. Some will not let you go. They will insist, you have come, we want you. But then, of course, you can maintain a kind of relationship with them, okay? But know your worth in your industry. Don't just stay in your corner and say, I know I'm not going to be able to get paid this anyway. No, ask questions. You have friends in the industry, in other stations, ask them questions. No, so there are some friends that will lie to you because they are hoping you will come and join them in their misery. So be very careful, but ask questions. Know what other stations are paying. And also don't think of porting anyhow. People port and regret. Ask, do they pay salaries regularly? Do they owe salaries? Do they promote folks there? What's the work life there? What's the system like there? Ask questions. Yoruba say someone who asks questions will not get lost. So make sure you always ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't. Especially when it comes to your career. Look at the economy now. For someone who did not ask questions end of last year, resumed a new job in January, and now cannot probably even afford most things. And do you know, wish you had been able to at least have that foresight to know how to, for example, ask for a better salary and all. See? So ask questions. Very important. Okay, so we're still on the Q&A. Let's see now. Okay, so I see someone, okay, Calabar says, it's not really encouraging with those in the public sector But in the private sector, I think it's better. Oh, mon Dieu. Okay, so the thing is this. For the public sector, the government has a fixed rate level 8, level 16, and all of that. At least you know what to expect. And guess what? You get regular interviews, for your promotion tests and all that, the exams and all. But the private sector, you are not guaranteed your promotion. You are not. As much as people talk about the private sector is good, the private sector is exciting, or there are opportunities, you should also know that there are also limitations in the private sector. It's easy to compare both when you're not in the other world. So for someone who says private sector is better, it's probably because the person is in the public sector. While those in the private sector are thinking, will I not be better off in the public sector where my pension is going to be something that will reward me for all these years of not earning something good? So it's a two-way street. It's kind of like 50-50, okay? One cannot say it's a particular way, all right? Okay, so this says, I'll be happy if my instructor can share with us full guide slides about this broadcasting in order to learn more. Okay, I'm going to have, well, I believe Josephine is here. Josephine, you could possibly share the slides afterwards. So I'm a radio presenter, and I still belong to the old school of writing scripts. So almost everything I said today was actually scripted, okay? Yes, there were a few additions here and there, but it was actually scripted. So I have the slides, so you can make reference to it. You can also do your research on some of the things you saw and all of that. But then, of course, you can always refer to what we said. I believe the conversation was recorded, so you might be able to access it later for a recap of everything that was said. Okay? All right. Do we have any other questions? Do we have any other questions? I'm actually here to answer your questions. So don't hesitate. I'm here to answer your questions, okay? All right, so can we go, let's see, do we have any other questions?
Yes, ma'am, from Calabar.
Okay, let's see. Okay. You have no idea what is going on here right now. So please pardon us if you're not able to access your questions immediately. Yes, somebody is multitasking here. Father of Bacon.
Okay. I'm Mary. Can you hear me?
Okay, so
This
Calabar, Kefi.
Josephine. Yeah.
Let's see, who are those here? So we have Enugu.
She can't hear.
We have Abeokuta window. Okay, I see someone raising their hands. Please go ahead. What would you like to know?
Hello, good morning.
You might need to mute yourself though.
Hello, Mary. Can you hear me?
Kathy, please go ahead and ask your question.
Please don't with your questions. I'm calling you out now, so you can come and ask.
Kefi, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes. Good morning, Mary.
Perhaps you need to unmute yourself. Maybe you're speaking now, we can't hear you. Okay, I see a message, LinkedIn or IG. Okay, LinkedIn, you can find me, Mary Bashua-Alimi, IG at Lady O Mary 1. At Lady O Mary 1. Okay, that's on IG. And then you said, I want to ask questions before I switch to sports journalism. Okay, you want to become a sports journalist? Go ahead. Let's have your question. What's the question you want to ask? And let me tell you something about journalism. You should never limit yourself, okay? I talk sports. I talk entertainment. I read the news. All of this came with years of experience, okay? So when an opportunity arose to handle certain things, I would grab them and make sure I maximize them. It will help you a whole lot to make a habit of taking advantage of opportunities. It will help you a whole lot. So you should make sure when you get an opportunity to do this. Okay, I remember at the start, just was mentioning some shows. Talk Nigeria. It's a politics, economic show. Like we talk about things that affect the polity and all. I hosted it a few times. Even the popular Kubanji director, I remember one time I was on drive time and unfortunately the presenter couldn't come. I had to step in. I did that twice, 2 different occasions. So you as a person, when you're going into broadcasting, you have to prepare yourself for eventualities in case anything comes up so you can step up, okay? Talking sports for me is something I love doing. I'm an Arsenal fan, by the way. If you're an Arsenal fan, say hi. Now, I love talking football in particular. I do that a lot on radio and on TV as well. TV in particular. We have a particular segment on the TV.
I guess we lost the connection again.
Ah, yes, we lost the connection. You didn't lose me, thank God. You will not lose me yet.
Amen. So you can hear me clearly.
Okay, so what didn't you hear?
No, we are with you. Just we wanted to call the people that were raising their virtual hand that have questions. We have someone raising hand at Calabar. American Corner Calabar, yes. Can you hear us? Are you set? Please, can you ask your question quickly?
Please do.
Good day, ma'am.
Please go ahead with your question.
As an aspiring broadcaster, how can the Nigeria broadcasting industry empower the youth to drive innovation and creativity in radio programming?
I didn't quite get that. What did you say?
I said, as an aspiring broadcaster, how can the Nigeria broadcasting industry empower the youth to drive innovation and creativity in radio programming?
Okay, let me see if I got you right. You said you're an aspiring broadcaster, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are interested in the remuneration and radio programming, right? Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am. How can the Nigeria broadcasting industry to drive innovation and creativity in radio programming?
How can the
Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, how can they, yes, how can they empower them?
Yeah, empower youth to drive innovation and creativity in radio station, in radio programming, sorry.
When it comes to radio programming, the NBC does not interfere in anything. In fact, the NBC encourages as much creativity as possible. But that body also exists to create guidelines so that people do not cross the line. We watch something, you know, I'm sure sometimes you're on TV, you're watching TV and you see some things and you're like, is the NBC still in existence? Yes, as a matter of fact, the NBC still is. It's just that many stations flout the guidelines. And then when the NBC takes action, it becomes a case of, oh, they are witch hunting. No, it's not a matter of witch hunting. They are doing their jobs. Creativity-wise, it is left to you and your station to know how to maximize your creativity. It's not the responsibility of the NBC. And the NBC, contrary to what an average Nigerian thinks, does not hamper your creativity. They just have certain guidelines. Don't play certain types of songs. Or if you're even going to play such, make sure the bad words are edited. There's a particular song that so my station is a music station. That's the radio one. And there's a particular song that the first time I heard the original version, I fainted twice. Okay, that's me exaggerating. But I could not believe the start of that song. I don't know if many of you know, it's Black Bear. And you. The first line of that song, for those who know it, you know what it is, right? The original version. And you don't get that on radio. That's what the NBC is saying. We don't want to hear the bad words. If at all you have to play that. So many people feel, oh, the NBC is killing my creativity. It's not. And then Nigerian musicians also do something which I find very laughable. If you want to buy certain, if you want to get music on, there's something called radio edits. For foreign songs, most of the artists also have radio edits. And they'll tell you even in interviews that they hate the fact that they have to do radio edits. But it's important, unless you don't want your song played on radio. But in Nigeria, most artists, just a few bother, most artists do not make efforts to create radio edits, which gives our radio guys, as our music guys in our station, a lot of work, because you have to clean the song so you don't get into trouble with NBC. So I don't know if that answers your question. Your creativity is your personal responsibility. Just ensure you're within the guidelines, the NBC guidelines. That's what counts. Does that answer your question? If it doesn't, please feel free to ask me so I can break it down for you. But basically, there's this incorrect notion that the NBC hampers creativity. That's not true. That's actually not true. They don't even interfere in whatever shows you're doing, as long as it's within the guidelines. And the guidelines for young people. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
I'm okay, ma'am.
We are running out of time. We have to take the question from Kefi. Kefi, can you unmute and ask your question?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I have some questions. Yes, I have some questions written down here, so I'll read them out. The first one is, what's the relationship between communication and the society? That is one. Is it every news? The second, the other one is it every news you broadcast? Then I have another one again. Is broadcasting one of the relevant aspects of journalism? And does broadcasting deals with investigating journalism, or is it on its own?
It's on its own. Let me just answer you. That's why I was explaining careers in broadcasting, okay? Everybody has their own functions. A broadcaster can decide to investigate something and become an investigative journalist, but it's not his primary KPI. It's not his primary responsibility, okay? Yes. So a broadcaster can be on his own, giving you the news that the investigative journalist has gone to the field to get. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Then your second question, please, could you repeat it?
Okay. Is it appropriate to create news when there is no news to broadcast?
Is it appropriate?
Yes, to create news when there is no news to broadcast.
How can you create news? See, the thing is, I realized that because of social media, people mix social media with reality. On social media, there's, in quotes, fake news. It abounds there. But in real life, you cannot just create news. Oh my gosh, the sanction can even go as far as shutting your station down. Do you understand me? Yes. You do not create news. The news has to be in existence. Then you impute it into your news output for that day. Do you understand? You do not create news. Okay? Broadcasting
yes. Thank you very much.
Then the first question, what is it again?
Is there are 2 in 1. Is it every news you broadcast? There was the relationship between communication and society.
You cannot broadcast every news. When will you have time for other things? Do you understand? That's the duty of a news editor. Remember I mentioned news editor earlier. A news editor decides which one should go, which one should stay. Because there will always be plenty of news, plenty of information. And it's also the responsibility of the news editor to filter out important news. Do you understand? Which one is pertinent? The one that should go now. The one that is the breaking news. That's the job of the editor to decide. So you cannot pass everything. It's not possible.
Thank you very much. I have this young guy here. He's from mass communication.
Okay.
He's from yes. He's from Mass Comm department. He has a question for you, so you listen to him when you ask your question.
Okay, good morning, ma. The question I want to ask is, what are the best way possible to monetize broadcasting when it comes to monetization?
Did you get
So
it?
monetize. Yes, I got your question. Monetizing
Yes.
broadcast is dependent on what exactly you want to monetize. If you're working for a station, the money that comes in goes to the owner of the station. So one thing I need to clarify, just as I mentioned earlier regarding the news creation, reality is different from social media. On social media, on the internet, you can create stuff, you can monetize stuff, make money for yourself. But when it comes to reality, the station has the creative rights. The station has the rights to anything you produce, as long as you produced it as a staff of that station. Now note, there's something called PPO. That's your own private also. But as long as it's going to be broadcast on the station, and as long as it's about the station, unless you want to be making money off people, which you shouldn't be doing, then there is no other way to monetize. The moment it's content that belongs to the station, you cannot monetize it for your personal gain. You can only monetize it for the station's gain. Do you understand me?
Yes.
There are lots of gray areas regarding this these days because of social media. People believe you can monetize a lot of things, but no. As long as you're working for an organization, it is your responsibility to ensure that any profit goes to the organization, unless it's a personal thing you did elsewhere. But as long as you did it in the name of the organization, whatever profit comes out of it does not belong to you. Is that clear enough?
Yes. Yes. So the first one you've not answered.
Thank you very much, Kefi.
Okay,
we ran out of time.
In the chat box here, I just want to quickly answer it. The person says, I don't have results to study mass communication, and I want to know if it can be possible for me to join broadcasting as a beginner. Okay, so I'm going to answer that question honestly. And seeing that question is why I decided I'm going to answer it.
Thank you.
I studied French language. In fact, I majored in French language, minored in Portuguese. I have no background in mass communication. And that's the truth. My side hustle, as I mentioned about having side hustle, is translation. Do you understand me? So you can become a broadcaster without background certificates. However, depending on how well you catch on and how well you understand the job, I recommend you go for courses. Go for courses, be it online or physical. Go to the MBA, it used to be the Federal Radio Corporation, now it's called MBA. Attend, brush up your skills. Some of these courses are very short term, 3 months, 6 months. There's the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. My case was peculiar. When I got into the industry, I was supposed to get those trainings. But my boss at that time insisted that he wanted to make an example of me, that you don't need to have trainings, whatever that means. But somehow, years down the line, it worked. It turned out to be, well, I'm a guinea pig, but yeah, it worked. But it kind of worked for everyone like that. For some people, yes, but not for everybody. Okay, so I would recommend you take courses, explore different aspects of journalism. You might be shocked that what you're interested in might not even be what you might want to do eventually. Still in the same broadcast industry. So that's why I gave you some career guidelines earlier. Okay? All right, so okay, so I see, kindly send your handles in the chat box now. I don't have access to the chat box, but you can find me across all social media platforms at Lady O Mary 1. That's LadyOmary, figure 1, at Lady O Mary 1. Okay, so that's on Facebook, Instagram, X, yeah, Lady O Mary 1. You can find me on either of those platforms. Okay, so I guess that does it with the questions. So Josephine, do I round up? Are we done? Or do we answer another question, if at all?
Yes. We don't have any hand raised.
Okay, I have a hand raised. I see a hand raised there. Okay, the hand has unraised itself.
Lady O Mary, I'm trying to type your handle in the chat. So
Okay.
I've gotten
Lady
that
Omeri
done.
one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's O, not
So I
zero.
think
Lady O, letter O. Lady Omeri one.
oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
O, not
Okay.
zero. It's Lady
Okay.
Omeri
Let
one.
me do that again.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just round up quickly. I'll just say that as with every career, broadcasting requires careful consideration of its pros and its cons. It's important to not limit yourself. Very, very important. Keep reinventing yourself. Be willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. That has helped me throughout the course of my career. Pay attention to details. Ensure you give your chosen career, in whatever field, the best of yourself. So it's not just about broadcasting. Wherever you find yourself, always give your best. You might think no one is noticing, but you'll be amazed that even the most unlikely people are taking notice of what you're doing. All right? Pay attention to details. Very, very important. Now, if it does not pay well enough and you love doing it, I'm not sure the people listening, are there company
We are
owners
with
here?
you.
But
We
seriously.
are with you. We can hear you.
I want to whisper for those who might be the owners of stations and they will start looking at their staff like, if you try it. But I'm just going to say it, get yourself a side hustle. It's not paying well. If it is not paying well, don't be ashamed. Get yourself a side hustle. All right. For example, I have almost no limits when it comes to business. If you view my Facebook or Instagram stories, you see posts of shoes, household items, dresses, and so much more that I do middle person for, okay? And then, of course, not only do I sell those items, I also do translations. As I mentioned, I studied French language, minored in Portuguese. So I do English, French, Portuguese voiceovers. I do translations. In fact, I work with a network of translators. We do Arabic, Mandarin, several languages, okay? So those are things I do to fuel my love for broadcasting, because broadcasting might not necessarily pay my bills, but these other things I do help pay for it. I compare events. I work with my sister to plan events, provide ushers for events. I have loads of caterers. For those who probably are aware of Wake Up Nigeria, the TV show I could present on TVC, we have a kitchen segment. So I have access to loads of caterers. So when there are events, I know whose strength is this. If I want the Nigerian food, I know the ones that will give me the best. That's actually the advantage of having access to chefs. See, so I'm using what I have to maximize my own potential, if you know what I mean, okay? So I also partner with a company. They can supply 1,000 gadgets if you need it. Like, there's so many things I put my hands into. And that's why we are talking about remuneration. I had to let you know that what you love sometimes might not pay you as much as you want it to. But there are other ways you can break it. Of course, nobody wants to go through stress. I would love to be able to sit back and get my, my bank account credited with, say, 5 million every month. I don't have to do any other hustle. But it doesn't work that way. And in this economy, if you sit back, relax, and be sulking and blaming your boss for your misfortune, you're just going to be there and 10 years will pass and you're still where you are. So hustles aren't regular. It's not every time you make money. There are months that might go, you won't even make any extra cash except your salary. It's part of life. However, providing yourself an extra source of income, as Yorubas say, meaning they help to make ends meet, okay? So don't fold your arms, expecting manna from heaven, or blaming your employers for your poor financial situation. Keep looking for ways to make more money and take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. Please, you can earn a decent living and still do what brings you pleasure, which for me, personally, is being radio. I love radio. I keep talking about radio. Not that I don't like TV, but my love is radio, and that's the truth. Just ensure the side hustle does not affect your job. Your job comes first, no matter what. Okay? Especially something you're passionate about. The side hustle is just to at least put food on your table if your job can only take you as far as your bills, if you know what I mean. Huh? Don't let it suffer or you'll be sorry. Your job should always be your priority. There's this joy that doing what gives you. It doesn't matter how much income comes from other sources. Nothing will ever compare to or give you as much satisfaction as your passion. Nothing will ever. No matter what else I do, when I'm on the radio, the pleasure I get, I can be very sick and I'll still turn up on the radio. That's doing what you love. Anyway, I wish you well on your career path. I wish you the very best. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Mary Bashua-Alimi. Enjoy your day.
Thank you so much, Mary. We are very grateful. Thank you for coming, for all the sacrifices. We are very grateful. Thank you. Thank you for the educative, engaging, interactive section we've had today. We'd like to also appreciate all our audiences in all our spaces. Those that joined us from their living rooms, we also appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming. This is one of the programs. Thank you. This is one of the programs, one of the ways that the US government empowers the Nigerian youth. We have other programs. Tomorrow we have the Youth Development Series. We are still treating Money Matter Mastery. Tomorrow we'll be looking at investment. The time is 2 p.m. We'd like to encourage you to join us in person in all our spaces nationwide. Thank you. We are glad you were able to make it this morning. See you some other time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Sit down, sit down, sit down. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.